Okay guys, so today what you guys are going to be learning is areas of quadrilaterals. Now quadrilaterals are four-sided figures from last year, but more specifically we're going to be looking at rectangles, squares where every side is exactly the same and every angle is a right angle, rhombuses, which are kind of like slanted squares, and trapezoids. What a trapezoid is a four-sided figure where only the top and bottom sides are parallel. Okay, now what I told you guys in your notes, the area for quadrilaterals, besides a trapezoid, the area for quadrilaterals is super simple. It's just the length of your base times how tall it is. It's just base times height for a rectangle. For a square, you can think of it as two things. You can also think of it as your base times how tall it is, which is the height. Or, since both of these are the same thing, a little more in depth, you can think of this also as whatever your side is, you just square that, because base times height is the same thing as taking two of your sides together and multiplying it. If this is too confusing, just remember it's just base times height. For a rhombus, it's the same thing, base times, but the thing is, you have to know the height of this. The height is not given sometimes. This shape right here is, this side is not your height. It's just a side. It has to go straight up and down. So when you're finding the areas of a rhombus, sometimes it's just base times height, but sometimes they'll give you, let's say this side is 4, this side is 4, and this side is 5. You have to know that this right here is your height, the straight up and down, not the slanted part. Now the area of a trapezoid is, the formula is 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times your height. 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times your height. What that means is you add the top and bottom bases together, you take half of that. This plus this, divide it by 2, and then times your height. But this side is not your height. Your height has to be perpendicular to one of the bases. It has to be a 90-degree side. All right, anyways, these are your four formulas. But technically, it's not really just 4 formulas. It's just one formula. All it is just one formula. It's base times height, or unless it's a trapezoid. So let's do a couple example questions. Let's say I have trapezoid. I don't know on the notes. I don't remember if I put example questions to do already. If I did put example questions on the notes, you can do those if you want, but I'm just going to do an example question of each. If I did put example questions, I don't remember, so I'm not going to do those. I'm just going to specifically do these. So let's say this is 3 inches and this is 9 inches. If I were finding the area, 3, which is my base, times my height, is 27 inches. But I also put on your notes, area is always represented as squared. Now, let me explain to you what squared is. So whenever you say area, it's always the measure of unit, but it's squared. This is your answer. What this means is if this was really 3 inches and this was 9 inches, the answer would be 27 inches squared. This square, all it means is just purely conceptual. It means you could fit 27 perfect 1 inch by 1 inch squares in this shape. 27 perfect 1 inch by, obviously this is not going to be 27 inches because the measurements are wrong, but if it truly was, you could fit 27 perfect 1 inch by 1 inch squares to make up the whole shape. That's what the squared measurement means. When you're doing the math, you don't do anything with it. You just always write it, whatever your unit of measure is, it's always squared. Okay, so let's take a square now. And let's say with your square, this is 5, every side is 5 feet, and this is a square. Square, you know, it has 90-degree angle, so does a rectangle. But anyways, let's say it's 5, and let's say there's no unit of measure. It's just 5. Your answer is base times your height, which is 5 as well, is 25. Now, whenever there is no unit of measure, what you are going to write is 25 units squared, because we don't know the units of measure, but we still have to express in math what the units are. And if we don't know what they are, we just write units. 25 units squared. Okay, the next question is, I'll do a rhombus. Because you're going to have it in the worksheet that I wrote up, or that I attached. You are going to have a question like this. Let's say this is 6 feet. This isn't a rhombus. This is just a parallelogram. 8 feet. And then they give you a little straight up and down line, and they say this is 4 feet. And they say find the area of this. Well, remember, the area of this is base times your height. The base is really simple. Here's my base, which is 6. Now the question is, what's your height? Is it 8 feet or is it 4 feet? Which side or which length is straight up and down? Because whenever you're talking about the height of an object, it's always up and down. It's never diagonal. So this 8 feet is just there just to confuse you. It's just more information than you need. If this is 6, the height straight up and down is 4. 6 times 4 is 24 feet. But what's wrong with that? It needs to be squared. 24 feet squared. That means if this truly was 24 square feet in area, you'd be able to fit 24 1 foot by 1 foot squares in this whole shape. Okay. This is review from IM1. You should have covered very simple area last year. The next shape, and the final shape that we're going to talk about before I do a couple more example questions, is a trapezoid. And I'm going to keep this very simple. Like I said, in the notes that you have, I don't know, and I'm sorry I didn't look before I started doing this video, what the example questions were. But let's just say this is 8 and this is 4. Let's say centimeters. 8 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and the height of this shape is 2 centimeters. The formula is half of base 1 plus base 2. What that means is you add the top base and the bottom base together. Half of 8 plus 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Half of 12, 8 plus 4 is 12. Half of 12 is 6. Times your height. Your height is 2. So the area is 12 centimeters squared. That's it. Trapezoids are the only quadrilaterals that follow a specific pattern for the formula. Now, on your notes, I also give you a couple questions like this. I give you questions where I'm going to give you something like this. And I say, find the area on the worksheet that you have. And let's say this is 15. This is 8. This is 10. And let's say this is 6. It says, find the area of this whole shape. Well, the way that I would do it is this. I am going to just pretend that this in pink right here, I actually have this whole shape. So if I had this whole shape, it would just be the area of the base, which is 15, because if this is 15, this is 15. If this is 15, this is 8, this would have to be 7. So the whole thing would be 15. I'm finding the area of the whole thing, assuming this piece right here was not here. It'd just be the whole rectangle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this pink area right here. I'm going to get rid of this in a second. But I'm just going to assume I have the whole rectangle. And I'm going to say 15 times my height of 10, which is 150. So I'm going to write that in here. If I have this whole thing, it would be 150. But I don't have this whole thing. Meaning, if I minus this piece right here, if I got rid of this square, I would have the actual original shape. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the area of this square. I already know this is 7. Now look, this side's 10. This whole side has to be 10 right here. So if this is 6, this would have to be 4. Because look, 6 plus 4 is 10. It's this whole side right here. So I am going to get rid of everything else. And the good thing about the notes is if I lost you anything, rewind it right now to see where you got lost and then rewatch it. Because if you rewind it and then rewatch it, you'll be able to see what happened for you to make sure you understand. So I'm going to go 150, which is the area of the whole thing, minus just this pink rectangle right here. So this is 7 times 4, which is 28. 150 minus 28, which is 122. That's the area of my original shape, 122. But there's no unit of measure, so I'm going to write units squared. So your assignment today is going to be the worksheet that is attached. I give you guys the answers, but I also need to see the work. I need you to show me what math you did. Even though some of you guys just might have plugged everything in a calculator, which is totally fine, I need to see the actual work that you did before you plugged it in. So if you were multiplying like 5 times 3, the base is 5, the height is 3, to give you 15, I need you to write out next to that question 5 times 3. I need to see some form of life on your work to see so that I know that you did.